All right, guys, just want to talk about getting things done today. Follow up on the last couple of videos relating to getting to where you want to be and basically dealing with the stuff that we have ongoing in life. First thing I want to say, I want to apologize if I put my glasses on. I've got the light right in my face, but I'll need to use it so I can read my notes as well. So this is about getting things done. And the first thing I want to say, the problem we get in life is it's a lot more comfortable than it used to be. You know, we went back thousands of years, you would have virtually nothing. So, you know, if you imagined you went camping tomorrow with a couple of rocks, a couple of pieces of wood, and a piece of plastic as a tent, that's even more than you would have got a few thousand years ago. So the point being is, life is a lot more comfortable than it was back then. Today, you know, people have a lot of stuff that surrounds them that often A, they don't need, and B, it accumulates time and space. It uses up your spare time and it takes up space in the home, which is why a lot of people have a lot more stuff than they actually need. It's why I know the UK is going the same way, but the US has got a ridiculous amount of storage space, you know, because people have filled the house up and then taken on extra storage. So you're renting storage space for stuff that you can't fit in your house, yet it's from your house or for your house. Reality is, do you need it? Probably not. More likely not. So the point is, there's many things out there that is using our time up, is using our space up, is using our wealth up. But to get results, you actually have to get things done. And it can be getting fit, losing weight, wealth management, education, career paths. They're all associated with the same thing. It's about getting results. Now, the big problem we have in today's society is we often go with the flow. You know, we'll go down the pub every Friday with our friends because that's what we've been doing since we left college. And at the same time, that's where we spend a lot of our spare income. We'll not spend Friday studying something, for example. Then on Saturday, maybe go out with the kids or maybe do something else. But the point is, we're using up our time and our money doing the stuff that is comfortable. Now, getting things done needs a lot of things changing to make it occur. The first thing is you have to take into account sacrifice. Sacrificing your time, sacrificing wealth, sacrificing the fact that a lot of this stuff is not going to be easy. It's change. So the point being is it will take you out your comfort zone. And a lot of the things that we have done over the years is based on ideologies, is based on thoughts. This is why when you hear a lot of people grumble about how they could do something better, I could run the country better, I've got this fantastic idea, I could do this. It's never evolved. It's never been put into real world. It's never been put into reality. It's all still up here. It's never going to leave there for most people. It's often what I call factory mentality, because you often get somebody complain about management or whatever because they think they could do it better than anybody else. But you know what? A lot of the time they didn't even make it to supervisor, because often they have an attitude issue. But the point is, they're not actioned. And a lot of time we do this. You know, we'll actually say, you know, I don't know, I want to start my own company. I want to do this. But they're not actions. They're thoughts. It's not a progression. It's not set out in stages. It's not going to evolve. It's not a process. It is literally up here a thought of, I could do this, I could do that, blah, blah, blah. Because the reality is, putting it into action, you're going to have several things occur. The first one is some of the ideas that people have simply don't work. They have an ideology around something that maybe, for example, you decide to make wheels out of triangle. You know, just an example. You know full well the odds on selling a triangular wheel are going to be pretty slim. But in somebody's head, maybe it's a great idea. So some of these things you couldn't even give away. But the point is, in people's minds, they have something that they see as a worth, but it's never been tested. It's never been looked at in a realistic way because they've never took it to actually doing something. It's all been about thinking about it. It's not even been started. It's not even a thought out action plan. It is nothing more than something that's going on in the head that I can do this, I can do that, because in there, you can do what you like. In there, there's nothing threatening it, nothing challenging it. And you'll see the same with a lot of people that are very idealistic. I used to see a lot of it in social care because there was quite a lot of hippie types of people and people that are very into how people are cared for. They could be the worst nightmare person out there, but these person would see the best in them. Yet at no point in that person's life had they ever shown that they were worth the time of day because they had so many issues with them. But these people see the best in them. Everyone should have the opportunity or whatever, and not recognizing the impact they have on others. Because in an ideal world, everybody is equal, everybody's the same, everybody thinks the same, and we all know that in reality that's not true. Because one person's ideology it can be the complete opposite of somebody else's, because people have different thoughts, etc. But you'll find a lot of these people are quite well educated, but often live in a bubble. You know, they have these ideologies, but often don't have consequences because they work within government organizations, etc., that don't have a blame culture. In other words, they're void of responsibility. They're often quite aggressive if you challenge what they think or do, because in their world, they're right, and your opinion doesn't matter. In fact, your facts don't matter. Their ideology matters. And often this is why a lot of these things fail. You know, when people do save this, save the trees, feed the whole of Africa and stuff, there's a lot of factors they don't bring into it because they only focus on a very specific thing. You know, there's not a connection between stopping the wars, etc., that create the problems in the first place. It's about feeding the people, spreading general well-being, better health, etc., but not how it will actually happen. So the point being is a lot of people out there that even try to action some of this stuff, but they don't think it through. And they just focus on the bits they like and not the hard bits. And the reason I'm bringing this up is if you are going to make these changes and get things done, you're going to have to recognize it's not always going to be nice. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be pretty. And the other thing is, even when you have an idea yourself, you're going to take a battering. You know, for example, say I wanted to open a hotel here. I could see the viability of a hotel here. But I may find that there's no hotel here because it will never get past town planning. Something that my idea may be great and the best thing since sliced bread, but it would never get constructed. And it's something as simple as that is a prime example of you could do all the work and it would never go to fruition. So you've got to recognize sometimes that happens, but at least you're trying to do it. But at the same time, do you give up or do you try the next town or the next one down? The whole point is you adapt to the needs. And this is the difference between about talking about getting things done and actually getting things done. The first thing you need to do is actually work out what you need to do. If, for example, you want to open a restaurant, do you actually know how to cook? What are your plans on doing? What's your audience? What sort of feedback have you had about stuff that you actually cook? Because you've got to understand that in here, everything's great because there's nobody challenging you. But when you start doing it in the real world, you'll come across a lot of problems. And it's actually putting it out there that you can start to understand that you'll need to adapt to the environment you're in. You know, for example, say you wanted to sell tacos. You may find nobody actually likes tacos where you live. So you may have to do hamburgers and whatever, because the market isn't interested in what you want to sell. But it doesn't mean give up. It means that you're taking it from here into reality. You're finding a way to make it work. In the same way, if you wanted to do down the tacos route, you may do something you don't want to do, which is maybe you start with burgers and then you start to introduce tacos and develop a market for it. I'm not going to go over Taco Bell, but Taco Bell did something a while back to actually increase its sales of tacos, and I recommend reading up on that. But that's a prime example of how you can change the market. But you'll often find that what you want to do is not going to be 100% of what's in here. You're going to have to make changes. You're going to have to recognize what's realistic, what's possible, what isn't. And one of the things I do recommend is actually doing it in milestones and projects. You set the milestones in each project. So for example, say I wanted to start a business this year. The project is the business. The milestones is how I get to that business being operational. So this could start with the fact that, okay, I need to form a company. I need to work out my marketing strategy. I need to work out my suppliers. I need to build a website. I need to do telemarketing for it. That's 5 milestones just there, because you need to complete each one of these. Now, before you run off and form your company, it's worth noting all your milestones and project, where the project becomes complete in the sense that it's operational. But this is why it's important, because those milestones become focused. If you need to, for example, do a marketing campaign, and then you go, do I do it myself or do I get somebody else to do it? If I do it myself, do I know enough about marketing? Maybe not. So do I need to train in marketing? An example of this, like I mentioned earlier, maybe you do telemarketing of the business. The easiest way of doing telemarketing is start by doing it for somebody else. Because if you work with other people that are already doing it, you'll pick it up much faster. You'll pick it up faster than any college book will teach you. Because it's a very pushed business. So once you start absorbing that information, and people go, that's not working because of this, that's how you get your pitch and everything right. It's the easiest way of learning it is actually a baptism of fire, as the saying goes. And many of the other things can be a little bit like that. You know, if you turn around and think, okay, I want to build a website, you could spend hours developing a website if you've never done it before, or you may find it very easy because there's a lot of stuff out there that's very easy to build. But then you've got to get all the SEO and everything right. The whole point is you've got to sit there and work out the milestone stages. And the reason I mention this is you're probably going, but which one would I do? Well, the answer is the whole thought process is there. Should I sit and do it myself, or should I outsource it and get somebody to do it that can do it in a quarter of the time? And should I get somebody off something like Upwork or whatever, or should I get somebody that's referred to me because somebody else has had work done by them and they had good results? One's going to be more expensive than the other, most likely. But the point being is, these are the sort of things you've got to do. And once you start getting the milestones together, so you've got your project, you broke down the milestones, then you start developing it. The next thing on top of that is recognizing the big picture. Because the business, say an online business, a marketing business, or website design business, or photography business, or whatever it is you're doing, may be to allow you to travel. It may be to allow you to buy your first home, clear debt. Something is driving you to get to that change point. Well, the point being with that is recognizing that's the bigger view. Your project may be to start a small business, and another one may be to do a smaller affiliate marketing blog and website, and another development, a YouTube channel, and all. You can have 10, 15 projects, but the main thing is focus on one, get it moving, then move on to the other one. Now, when you've got that overall picture there, it's often about generating the last main thing for you, which could be anything from buying a house to buying a car to paying your mortgage off to career development, starting your own company, complete independence, traveling the world, you name it. It all comes from recognizing that these little milestones and projects lead up to that. I mean, for example, when I look at my YouTube income, the YouTube income basically funds stuff in the Philippines and has done since monetization hit the YouTube platform. The point being is that had a specific task, and that was to fund the Philippines projects and to fund keeping things ticking over there. And it does it. Now, you may find that you might want to travel, so YouTube may actually pay for some of it, but you may be needing to sell photos as something through like Pond5, or maybe you want to start writing a ebook on whatever it is you're doing, I don't know, fly fishing or something else that you may actually want to be selling on as well, so that cumulatively the big picture is that you can travel. For me, the big picture is important because that's where you want to get to. And this is why I'm bringing this up relating to some of the stuff other people have said about not having enough money, can't seem to find a new partner or can't afford a new partner. Relationships take work and they do take money because obviously there's very few things in life that are free. Well, in fact, I can't think of anything that's free. Except the air, maybe. But that's only because I haven't thought of a way of charging for it. But the point being is, if you want to get to that stage, you need to set the milestones. You need to sit there and go, right, I want to move forward. And that comes from making that decision, which is stop talking about it and start doing it. Instead of saying, I can't do this, think, how am I going to be able to do this? In this case, for me, we want to buy our first property here in Spain. Now, I keep all this stuff private because the bigger picture is something I work on a regular basis. And you get setbacks, and this is part of life. And I've got to admit, more recently I've been a bit more open on this channel about stuff. But sometimes you get setbacks. And you may plan to do X, and then life gets in the way. But the point being is, I don't give up. I get pushed back a little bit, and then I go forward. It's like now, the big picture has the first goal of buying the first apartment in Spain that we were going to rent out. So you do stuff that you may not like doing. The last 2 weeks, I've been dialing on call center stuff. I've been doing lead generation from home. But I've also been applying for some of the work in the UK for some larger roles because that will release money that I've accumulated this year, which is nearly 50% of the cost of the first apartment for Spain. So the point being is, the bigger picture is the first apartment. Then the next stage, that's not even the big picture. That's the bigger, in the sense that the first apartment, the majority of it is to get paid off as quick as possible and buy a second one. Then the combined rents, pay for the second one, and you expand it out. Because the reality is, where we are is primed for rental. So that's my pension fund. That's our living fund. That's my goal. But the bigger picture, right at the top, the biggest picture, is to make that fully sustainable. So I want to get to about 10 apartments. And it's achievable. But you will have to make sacrifices. I'm sitting dialing lead generation calls. Because, you know what? A lot of people say, I can't do that, don't want to do it. Reality is, you focus on the goals. On the other side of that being is, if you wanted to do a marketing business, guess what? If you want to get the sales, you need to call people. You need to email them, you need to phone them, you need to bug them. Tell them how great your services are. Tell them what you can do for their business. Nobody else is going to do it. And it doesn't matter what business it is. You know, if you could be mowing lawns, maintaining swimming pools, doing software generation for specific tasks for a business, server provider, hosting websites, doesn't matter. It all has to be done through getting off your backside and making it happen. And that's the main thing here is you've got to keep pushing forward. If you don't, there's always a reason not to do it. And like I said, the problem we have in life today is it can be comfortable. We can sit there and go, yeah, I wish I could travel more, but I can't afford it. But you can afford to sit still because life is much more comfortable. We're not being eaten by lions. But the reality is, if you say, right, I want to travel more and I'm going to make it happen, you will find a way to do it. And like I said, you may not have the skills to do something, but there is nothing to stop you learning. I've got a stack of training stuff that I'm starting to go through. I've been a bit focused on the cash generation stuff right now because quite simply I've had a period of time where I've had to deal with my back injury, which sort of took me out, physically took me out the arena. So I've recovered. I'm now back to pushing forward again. And the things you realize is that if you want to achieve it, you can do. But also, if something knocks you, take it on the chin. If you're not going to achieve it this week, doesn't matter. The main thing is you don't give up. The main thing is you change your focus. Like my back injury, first thing I need to be able to do is stand up. If I can't stand up and walk properly, then I can't do the rest. So the point is, the focus is I heal, I recover. That's the main thing. But while I was healing and recovering, I was spending up to 4 hours a day learning Spanish. So the point being is, use your time wisely, use it to progress. And yes, I'm still learning Spanish, and I've already done, I think, about 40 minutes today, but I'll sit and do at least another 20 minutes today. But the point is, you just keep pushing. Where things differ is the majority of people are comfortable and complain. They're always talking about how they're going to do something, but never do it. The difference is you sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to do this. And look at how you can make it happen. Now, from my personal view, where people say they couldn't afford to travel or whatever, I'm now in year 12 of traveling. 8 years in the Philippines and then the rest here in Spain. The point being is, it's achievable. You've just got to drive it. You've got to adapt to it. And you'll hear people talk about, when people are digital nomads, sometimes they'll talk about the cost reduction as a major factor. Because they'll limit their expenditures because the work's not consistent. They could be doing software development on things like Upwork or whatever, but there's gaps between it, so they're stacking up money. One of the things I would actually recommend is if you're doing something like that, you've already got your skill set that you're using already for that. Develop other strategies. Find other ways to make money, affiliate marketing, ClickFunnels, getting a place that you can rent out, marketing businesses where you are, selling your photos on things like Pond5, selling your videos on things like Pond5, B-movies. You look at every opportunity as something that you can generate cash from. Because if you want to do it long term, that's the way to go. But also, if you can accumulate, say, $400 or $500 a month through this other stuff, and you're still where you are in the sense of you're working your normal job and found ways to do this through automatic revenue generating, that's a mortgage. That's a mortgage for a house that you can rent out and pretty much guarantee the mortgage is still going to get paid from the money you're making online. That's a place that you can rent out as a long-term investment as part of a pension fund. That is something that if you decided to go abroad, you are still paying off a property back where you were. So you've always got a safety net. You've got something that is constantly going to be generating money for you. Now, the point being on all this is it's all there. There is no quick, easy fix for this, but there is a lot of people out there that have done it in different ways. And the one thing I would say is invest some time in researching different people. I would say spend some time looking at what's worked for people, befriend some of these people and find out some information. In the last 2 weeks, I've been approached by 3 people relating to call center stuff, and I've got to admit, I'm looking at it again. I've got to admit, for me, it was a pain in the backside. It made good revenue, don't get me wrong, and I can sell myself on the phone, that's not a problem. But the reality is, if there's a good cash generator there and we can utilize it, why not? One of the important things is never close your mind to ideas. If somebody's got a good idea and wants you to hear it and wants to pitch it to you, and you can go through it with them and see the viability in it, go for it. Because the reality is, we've only got one life. Now, everything, whether we like it or not, pretty much orientates around money. Travel, although we have all the experiences and everything, it's much nicer being able to have a nice pair of hiking boots than one worn out flip-flop. The point being is that you're still going to have to maintain a certain standard, especially if you're going to be selling things like photos. You need to get your camera equipment, understand the uses of the camera, understand how you can market this stuff. But the point being is, there is nothing stopping you moving your life forward beyond yourself. This is why I recommend spend a bit of time thinking about it. Get yourself a notepad, get yourself a bit of paper, and get yourself a pen. Sit down and write what your goals are first and work back from that. And the reason I say that is because you set your goals, the projects, and then you break it down into milestones on how you can achieve that. Like the house thing or financial independence, paying the mortgage off, whatever. Once you start thinking about this stuff, you'll find solutions. And then it's a case of stop talking about it and start doing something about it. If you're going to write a book, write a book. If you're going to pay your mortgage off, start finding a way to pay that off in lumps. Start finding a way where there's opportunities there to get that paid. Being debt-free was one of the best things I ever did in my life. Reality is, if you're completely debt-free, lots of other things will follow. Thanks for watching.